Hello guys, this is Paula back to show you something that I came up with a couple days ago for my Christmas journals that I'm planning, and I wanted to get some things ready for my albums. I know it's not Christmas in July anymore, but randomly I will be doing some Christmas stuff between now and Christmas. So today what I'm doing can be done, for anything. So this is how it looks if you just wanted it plain, not decorated. This is just some seam binding on here, and I just made a loop and looped it around a brad right here, and I put support underneath it so that I could glue the whole thing down on the front and not have to glue it on the inside as well. Okay, so I'm going to turn this sideways so you can kind of see it long ways. Basically what this is just two greeting cards, blank greeting cards that I've done as a trifold. So ignore the seam binding for now. Gonna flip it open, journaling places. Now you wouldn't have to decorate the inside of this, and more journaling space. But wait, there's some there and there's some in the back. So all 6 squares have journaling space. I simply laid the card here, but first I did hole punch it, and when I glued it down this side, and this side. When I glued it onto the this card. Okay, so then it allowed me to make a tag, and the tag just slides right back in there. And again, it can be decorated however you want, okay, and however you feel. So I'm going to show you, I wanted to do a Christmas one and show you how cute they can be for Christmas, because I need them. And this time I didn't do vintage Santas, I just did happy, colorful Santas. So I'm going to show you real fast because got to get on with the video so I don't keep you forever. I know it's a kind of a frustrating thing, but there you go. That's how it looks. And then the tag, when it slides out, I added another little Santa. Now, let me open it. This is a brad by itself. Now, this is one of the first ones I made, and I did secure it back here, and I didn't like the way it looked. The reason I used it is I wanted to let you see the difference in how that looked versus how this one looked. Let me get it open. There's a big difference. So I did have to support it there. And again, everything's the same. Little Santa in the top, in the card. And when I did the pocket on this one, it was kind of a last minute thought, and that's why there's not just a half circle there. Alright, as you can see, I tore my, I triple matted, double matted, and then put it on the tea stain paper, and I inked everything. So, and I used jute string for the closure. Now, I'm going to do a craft color one now. And what you see is 2 cards. Let me back out a little so you guys can see. I guess that's as far as it's going to go. Okay, I'm going to move my tray over so I can give you a little bit more room. So see, I've got 2 cards here. I'm going to empty all my stuff from the inside and lay it right here. I've got 2 cards here. I've inked one, but we're going to ink the second one. as soon as we get this all glued together. But the first thing you want to do is see where you want to do your hole punch for your tag. Now you want to do that before you glue these together, because I'll tell you, my ceiling fan is trying to blow my items away, but it's a warm day today. Okay, so you're just going to punch at the top. Simple as that. I didn't get quite center, but it's good enough. Gets the point across. Okay, so it would help if I had these in the right direction. Okay, there we go. So now I'm going to sit down and I'm going to glue these together and show you what happens next. I hope I didn't just stick my big old gray head. Well, it's not gray. It just needs to be colored. Okay. Let me make sure I've got you in the screen. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take the card that has the punch in it. You're going to flip that over, which I don't know why I inked that, but wasn't thinking, I'm sure. And you want the punched one on the, you want it to be your center inside part of the card. Okay, I'm going to hold that down right there. Okay, so what we're going to do is just flip this over and we're going to glue along the edges. Now you want to make sure you get your corners, and you need to remember that you're going to be putting a tag in here. So just do around the edges and get it really good at the top, so that that portion will hold whenever it's tugged on quite a bit. Okay, I just strung some glue right across the center. Listen, the mistakes I make sometimes just crack me up, but you know, that's how you learn. Okay, now we've got the glue on, so we're going to turn it over, and hopefully this glue that I got on there will not stick. We'll stick something in there. Okay, now you're just going to line it up just to the left of the scored line on this card, on your second card, not your punched card. You know, sometimes when you buy your cards, they come kind of stacked inside each other. So basically, you know, I'm sure someone somewhere has done this, but I haven't seen a video on it yet. So that's, you know, so go over here and make sure there's no loose glue. If there's glue while it's still wet, you can rub it off and slough the goodies away. Okay, so obviously I haven't inked this square or this, so let's do that first. I like to ink, I'm just going to tell you, I like to ink where the punch is pretty good, because I want people to really notice that, you know, if there's not a tag in there, I want them to notice that that's where you put a tag. So I just make it a little more prominent. I hope you guys are having a good weekend. It's really warm here, or else it's just me. I've been pretty busy. My grandson was here this weekend, and then on Saturday, my granddaughter and my youngest grandson came over and hung out with him, my oldest one, and they swam, and Papa took them to the movies, and they ate junk, and that's what grandparents are for, I guess. Okay, now I inked through the center as well, because I just thought it looked better. That can be your choice, you know. And I will warn you that this card, let me see which one it was. I think it was this one. The first one I showed you without anything on it, that was a white card to start with, and it did not take to inking as well. As far as blending goes, I like to blend on stuff like this, but the craft ones and the cream color cards did fine. And you know, these are just Hobby Lobby cards. They're nothing fancy. These are the small ones, the 5.5 by, I believe it's 5.5 by 4. And I'm trying to hurry here. Doesn't have to be beautiful, but as crafters, we have a tendency to want everything to be perfect. But it's not. Okay, so there we go. Just so you can see, it's inked. Here's your tab. Okay, now we're going to move on to the next step, which is the background. Now, if you don't have a tear tool, you can just simply tear this on your own. But I happen to have a tear tool, and I know probably I got mine at Creative Memories back when I sewed it years ago. But I know there's different ones out there, and Creative Memories is back in business, so they may have brought it back. You might just Google them. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use this small tear side, not this big one. And you're just going to lay it down and get your paper. It's so simple. I mean, I wished I'd thought of getting it out. I hadn't gotten my tool out in forever until I started tearing these, and then I'm like, I think I have a tool somewhere. It's amazing what you forget you have. So you're just going to line it up straight, and you're going to tear. It's that simple. Okay? Now, you're not going to tear and use the whole thing, obviously. So you're going to want to measure and see, you know, I've got one here already. So let me get my ruler so I can tell you. Usually I have my cutting board on here and I use it to measure. But for the video, I took it off because it looks awful. Okay, so you want this to be just slightly bigger than 3 inches wide and around 3.5 inches tall. So that's, you know, basically what this is. Well, I take that back. This is 4.5 inches, almost 4 1/4 is what you really should do, and 3.5 wide. Don't listen to me. I just told you wrong the first time. But that's what it is, 3.5 by 4 1/4. Is what you want your music sheet to be. And you want to ink around the front side of them also. I know that I left one for us to ink together, but we'll find it here in a minute. Okay, so I usually flip my paper over to the side that's not torn, and I measure according to my ruler. So I just kind of lay it out here, and I said I wanted it to be not quite 3.5, but real close, and you want the furthest over tear to be there, and make sure you line everything up straight. You don't want your music notes to look all wonky. Okay, you have to really bear down and hold down on the tear tool. And there it is. Now, this will make 2 pages. You just go right here and cut off the white sections with your tear tool. And all you have to do with this tool is wonderful. It's just hold it where the paper is and jerk it. That's so easy. Now, this equals about, this measurement is not perfect, so don't get upset if you can't get it exact, because really not being exact is what gives it character. So it comes out to about, let me see here, almost 8 3/4. So we're just going to count in about 4.5 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're gonna tear about middle ways, which is gonna be between 4.5 and 5. So you can see by looking at this, from here to here and from here to here is pretty equal. And that's what you're gonna do. And there is your torn papers. And so simple, very, very simple. And I did the very same thing for our tag. See, I just tore 2 because I'm putting it on both sides of our tag. All right, so let's put that away for now and move on. So we got to really quickly ink. You want to ink these music sheets. Okay. Again, not a perfect science, just so it looks, you know, kind of like burnt edges or inked edges. Okay. Lots of fun. This was a really fun project. And you're going to ink your little pages, your little papers that go on top of your music sheet. Just on one side. And I use tea stain paper. Okay, so everything's inked. Let's put that away. Well, pretty much everything. Don't take my word for it. I may have something new to ink. So what we're going to do next is start gluing these on and see what happens. Now, I do have one that's ready. Everything's ready to rock and roll, so I'm going to pull it out. This is the one I'll do later. And here we go. Okay, this is how this Santa is going to look. I did this because I just don't want my videos to bore you guys. And I know that if they get too long, it is boring. So the first thing I'm going to do is glue my Santa onto his mats and then put him to the side. So let's scoot the card over. Of course, it doesn't help that I have the ceiling fan on that wants to dry my glue before I can actually get it on here, but that's okay. All right. So you're going to glue that down. I just kind of used, listen, this isn't Christmas paper. This is Graphic 45, but this is kind of a red and green design, and I just thought, well, that'll work for Christmas. So that's what I'm doing. Now, oh, this paper, I guess, is Christmas. It's this one that's not Christmas. Okay, let's get this on here as quickly as we can. We can set him aside to dry. Okay. My son actually bought me this little paper pad when he was in Washington a couple weeks ago for a wedding, and he saw it in a store and said, my mom would love that. And he's right. He knows me very well. But I just thought that was precious. Anyway, there you go. Doesn't have to be perfect, but isn't he cute? Now, let's quickly glue this little Santa onto so we don't lose him. Come on. Okay. It's time for new glue. Whoops. Okay. All right. There's our little tag Santa. Isn't he cute? Okay, so those are done. Let's set those aside and move on. We're going to have to quickly do this. I'm going to jump up and turn off this fan, or we'll be here all day. Sorry, guys. I should have thought about that whenever I started doing the video, that wasn't going to work. Okay, so always make sure that your font is the correct way up. And this glue has a mind of its own. I say that every time, but it really does. But it's strong. I'm just curious what makes it different than the 3-in-1 glue. Does anybody know? If you do, put a comment below, because I don't. It reminds me of the same thing. It acts the same way. I guess I could read the bottle, but haven't done it. Okay, you just want to line up your music lines and just have them be on there as best you can. I'm going to show you on this one, and I really should have done it on the front one, but I'll show you on this one and the front one, and since you've seen one that's completed. Okay, and here's our paper. Come on, glue. I always go into the corner and make a little circle and then just squiggle, you know, randomly. I probably put way more glue than I need, but that's just who I am. Okay, you just kind of center it the way you want it. Press it down. Make sure there's no excess glue, and then you can move on to the next one. Now, like I said, I'm going to flip this over and just do the front, and then we'll do the tag, and I'll remind you how the whole thing looks. Okay, the right side folds in, and the left side folds over. Okay, so let's do the front. And I'll show you how to put the brad on. And we'll put some ribbon on. And I actually dyed my seam binding this morning. Red and green, some red and green seam binding, and crinkled it up so it has that real wrinkled look, and it really makes a difference in how your projects come out. I think I got a little bit too much glue right there. I'll have it leaking out everywhere. I'm going to flatten this while I'm working on it. I just think it is easier. Okay. So you want to center it. Remember, this is the front of your project. And of course, I did get too much glue on there because I can see it coming out everywhere. But you know, I'd rather it stay down, especially with this glue, because all you got to do is just rub it. I learned that from Gail. I did not know that in the beginning, but if you tackle it while it's still wet, you just rub on it like this, and that glue will just turn into like a rubber substance, and you just brush it away. You can't see it anymore, and it's great. Okay, so we're going to glue our paper down. Man, this was some coffee dyed paper, and I must have had a lot of coffee in there because my papers turned out dark. But you know what? I like them like that too sometimes. I like both. I think there's, you know, times that you need both. And this one made a really cool design. Okay, so you just want to center it in a good way. If you get your music sheet lined up straight, you can just line your paper, your tea stain paper or coffee stained, straight with the lines of the music sheet. Okay, there you go. All right, now we're going to go put Santa on. And if you want to add embellishments to this, you can. The reason I have chosen not to put more than just the Santa is because of it will bulk up your album. But I will give you a hint. I don't put my embellishments in my albums. I mean, I do when I first make them, but I don't put the embellishments in there while it's on my shelf because it bulks, you know, it bulks things up too much. And I like, well, it looks like this is just barely gonna fit. But that's okay. You still see it on the outside. See? He is so cute. I was on scrapbook.com and looking at their Christmas paper. And this is an old paper, but I loved all the little Santa's on there. Their little faces and their little characters. Look at this one. He's cute too. And then look at this one. I mean, there's several more, but I love this little winking one. How cute is he? Okay, we're going to push him aside for a second. We're going to pull out. This is 3 circles glued together. I inked one side and around the outside, okay? Now, the next thing and then you have a single one, okay? The next thing we're gonna do is get our brad. And let me see, what color do I want? Let's do this color, because then you can't see it very much. Now, I will tell you, the brads I'm using are flat on top. They kind of, I don't know if you can see that or not. They kind of have like a little flat button look. Got it at Hobby Lobby. But any brad will work. You just want it to be at least that size. Okay, now I've got to find my little poking tool. Okay, and I guess I should bring something over here in order to poke a hole through this. Okay, so I'm just going to line it up. Can you see, guys? There. Let me make sure. I'm just going to line it up in the center. Make a little hole. Just like you would if you were binding a book. Now my paper has holes in it. And I went ahead and put my piercer all the way through because I wanted to make sure it would move around. Okay? All right, now you're going to put your brad through here, which if you have fiddly fingers like I do, it's kind of hard, but it went right in. Okay, and you want to put it on the ink side. Now, I don't know if you could see, I left a little bit of a space there for the ribbon. Now, you want to bend your brad back with that little bit of space on the top of your little thing, your little tab, or I don't know what it's called, a little handle I guess we're making. Okay, now I'm trying to remember how I ended up getting that to stay correct. Let me look here. I think I just glued it down. I glued it onto here because if you just glue directly down onto your picture, it's not going to be flat. Okay, so make sure you have a little space there around your brad. Get your glue out. Cover over that brad really well so that it, you know, you might have some glue it leaking out because I really, you know, did glue it. I want it to stay. Okay, now the back of this, you have to really press, and you're going to get messy. Be prepared. And I just kept pressing it down and just let it kind of take some time and let it dry. Now, I'm going to push it down on the table a little bit. And see the glue coming out? That's what I wanted. That tells me that I really got up to all the edges. Now, like I said earlier, you can wipe that off like that, or you can simply bring out the old wipey, which is what is faster. Now I'm going to lay that down, wipe off this glue real quick so that I don't stick to everything I touch. Okay, now we're going to let that dry for just a second. In the meantime, while this is drying, I'm going to set it aside, and we can move on to the next step, which would be the tag. Now, I did the tag different than I do normal tags. Now, I tea stained my tags, okay? These are some tags, the long, slender bookmark type tags that you can get at Hobby Lobby. You get a bunch in a pack, not for like $3 or $4. I cut out this paper, which measures, let me get my ruler back out, 1.5 inches by 4 3/4, and the music is 4.5 by just barely over an inch. Again, there is no, this was done exactly like this was done, okay? And everything was the same. Now, what I did, I took my music sheet, I inked it, and I'm going to show you what I did when I glued it. I kind of glued it to one side to give it a different look. Instead of gluing it in the center, I wanted to be able to use the leftover music sheet from, you know, the mat. And I'll show you what I mean. Let me get this glue on here first. I wanted to be able to use this part that was ripped away from the music sheet. I just can't waste. I have a hard time doing that. Okay, now I'm just kind of centering from top to bottom. And I know I got too much glue probably in the corners, but I'm just going to push those down. Going to rub off that glue right there, although it's not going to matter right there because I am going to put my mat or my my coffee stained paper right there. Okay. Leaves absolutely no mark when you do this, you guys. It's amazing. Okay. They also make erasers that will do the same thing, which I like. I know back in the day when people would use their Xyrons, you know how Xyron would leave a residue around the outside? That they made an eraser to erase that residue, and it will work on glue too. I don't know what it's called. I think it's an adhesive remover or something. It's been a long time since I got mine, so I don't even know. But okay, let's see. We're ready to move on. Now, I'm going to bring this one up slightly. And the reason is because I just want to be different. And now you can do it. There's several different ways you can do it. I'll show you on this one. Like that one is real similar. But if I flip it over, you know, I did it the opposite. So you can on this side you can do it that way, and on the other side you can put it on the left side. I mean, it's your preference. Get all my leaky glue first. If you let it dry, it's not going to come off. That's why you got to do it right away. Okay, all right, not quite centered, but you can see it got a little bigger as we went down. I'm going to glue my little Santa on. You don't have to put this little Santa on. I was just trying to doll it up a little more for my my journals, just because it's cheerier. Now, you can offset your Santa, or you can center your Santa. You can put him down here. If you want to put him right there, let's put him right there. How cute is that? And then you're going to decorate the other side just like that. Okay. Now I'm going to go in. I'm not going to decorate the other side because you know it's just the same as this. You can put a Santa or not put a Santa. One of the things I liked about this piece of paper with Santas on it was that it had these little bitty Santa images. Now I'm going to set that aside, finish that later, but we're going to go back now to this this dreaded thing that we did with the brad, and I'm going to get all that excess flaky glue off. Okay, my hands are so messy, please forgive me. I've been dying seam binding today. Let me show you. That will do it. And I didn't put on gloves, but maybe I'll do a video on how to do it. It's super simple, but there's, believe it or not, there's people. I didn't used to know how to do it. I mean, I've been doing it for years, but okay, so hold your brad, flip him over, and let's glue him down. I'm gonna glue this down. You know, you want it to be on every edge, and you probably will have it leak a little bit onto your image, so beware. Beware of the big bad glue. All right, here we go. Let's see what happens. You can decide how high up you want this too. I think I'm going to bring it down a little lower so we can see a little bit of his face. There you go. And you just push. You can push in the center of that brad. Now you're going to have some glue come out, I'm sure. So far I'm not seeing any, but must be something wrong with this. All right. Now, just give it a minute. Oh, there's some. I scooted it over a little bit. Just give it a minute to dry, because before you start sticking a lot of stuff on it. Now, you're not going to wrap your... I don't know how other people make these. I need to watch a video. I'm sure there's one out there. But this is how I do it. And it has worked for me. I got a little bit of glue on the image, so I'm going to get that real quick. It's not going to rub off. If you don't get it quick, man, it will stay on your image. You have to be careful not to scratch your picture. Okay, there we go. All right, complete. All right, so we will have our tag. We're going to put seam binding in here, on here, excuse me, in a minute. But I wanted you to see how everything's going to come together. He's going to be so cute. And you know, something else you could do on these, and I might do it, is put some of the little glitter dots, you know, and let them dry. I mean, there's like his little eye. You could put a little bit of Wink of Stella on there. Just give him a little bit of a shine. Well, this Wink of Stella is empty. But you get what I'm saying. You could add some shine to him. All right, I think on him, what do you think? Green or red? I think we should go with the opposite. Let's go with green. Okay, so what I did, and you guys can choose to do however you want, whatever works for you. I just made a loop. Now, there's no science to this. I didn't measure how far up my loop was or anything, but I would suggest you do it, you know, you do it pretty far up. Keep your finger or your thumb inside the loop and kind of tighten it a little bit. And what you're going to do is take it off your finger, and you're going to hook it around this brad. Now you're going to flatten it, and you're going to pull it just like that. Now you can leave it looped, or you can come in on it and make it a little tighter, which is what I would recommend. Not too tight at first, because you might have to undo it if you don't have it in the right spot. And I hope I cut enough seam binding, but really, as long as you have enough to wrap it around here once or twice. Let me see how I want to do this. Or you can, let's see, let's wrap the one around and stop. Then wrap this one around and stop. Now, the difference between doing the seam binding and the jute is that, you know, it does affect how you see Santa. And, you know, so that's up to you as to how you want to do that. But you just bring it over here to the side, tie a little bow, and voila, you've got your little Santa. Now we're going to put some in the top of his, let me see if I got some extra hanging here that we can just put in there. I don't know. It's pretty close. I know I've got some red, but I don't want to do red for that. Well, let's cut them shorter. That's what we can do. Which, it doesn't look as good short, but you can just make your bow a little smaller. But I always like one strand to be a little bit longer. Okay, now let's pull the tag out. And this isn't really going to be as long as I would normally do it, but for video purposes, I'm going to do it like this. I always like to slant cut my ribbon. It's just a habit. Now on this one, I am not going to tie. I may just staple it on with my tiny attacher. Whoops. How much time am I? Oops. We're not 45 minutes. We're just 42 minutes. I hope you're not getting bored. Okay, so then just bring it up flat. Let's just bring it up flat. See? And we're going to get the tiny attacher and just staple. And just let it kind of, yeah, that's not my favorite. And I may have to change that later, but you get the drift. I mean, it would look much better if it was longer. But I just wanted you to have fun making some trifold cards. I was doing envelope things, and now I've moved on to cards, and it's lots of fun. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you'll tell your friends about me, and I hope that you will subscribe. I need everyone to subscribe so my channel can grow. I'm just a retired grandmother, grandmother, wife, and I'm enjoying getting to do YouTube. It's not something I would normally do. It's kind of out of the box for me, but I'm having fun. So you could, I was just going to show you how you could put, of course this is in the same red, but you could put an embellishment in the corner if you wanted, but it will bulk up your book. So let's just recap what we're doing here, and then we'll be done. So I'm going to put my little card back in. There you go. And you've got your little Santa. Here's the one we made today. And there's that one. I hope you had fun. I sure did. You guys, if you could give me a thumbs up and subscribe, that would be awesome. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'll try to put a link to my Etsy store so you can go see what's going on over there. Thank you guys. Bye.